Welcome K for coding family. Today we are going to learn store procedure in SQL. To write a store procedure in SQL, we require create procedure statement with the store procedure name, and it begins with as statement and begin and block where we can define our query or syntax which we are going to perform. So why a store procedure is used in SQL to reusability of the code. So suppose you have to that fetch one record based on one condition, and then you have to that fetch that information on some multiple pages. So you while using the store procedure, you not need to write the same code again and again. You can simply call that store procedure and that parameter, and you can fetch the value from there. So now, as I have created a procedure with the name of USP EMP, and I have passed my basic query as a select statement. So when I execute this block as a create statement, my store procedure has been created in the SQL database. I'm going to execute. Now my store procedure has been completed. So how to execute a store procedure? It's simply execute by exec and then your stop procedure name. Select all and execute. Now you can see the output and the grid. Moving to next stage where we have to alter the procedure. So in some case you need some modification in your query or your statements. So how you going to that modify existing procedure? So you need to use alter procedure statement, and then you have to define your query and then execute. So my the store procedure has been altered, and when I execute, then it will display my updated query. So now the create table alter table has been executed. The next stage is drop. How to drop store procedure? So to drop store procedure from SQL, we need to simply write drop procedure and then my procedure name. So it simply deletes my procedure from the database. When I try to execute the same from the SQL console or query builder, it will not going to execute. Now I'm dropping the procedure. Now my command has been completed. Now I want to try to execute the store procedure. It will display error. Could not find the store procedure. Okay. Now we again create the store procedure to execute our other queries. I have re-executed that statement. So till now we have completed create procedure, alter procedure and drop procedure. Now we are going to learn how to execute multiple statement in store procedure. Structure remains same like we have created in create procedure. So in this statement we are going to execute multiple statement like insert, update, delete, insert, update and select statement. Not going to delete anything because if we delete the data then we are not able to view anything. So first I'm writing insert into my table name. So basically I'm inserting some values in my table, And second uh, query, I'm going to update values in my table. And third query, I'm going to select uh, data based on the statement. So now I'm going to fetch all the columns from the employee table to insert the value in the respective column. And even we also going to try to insert the values with the existing values in a dynamic manner, but it's uh, going to display some error when we going to insert in dynamic manner. Now we have fetched our column values or column structure, and we are going to pass these values in my existing table. So by default, I'm writing some incorrect statement to show you that if you write incorrect statement and your procedure, so it is not going to execute. And in first attempt, I'm just trying to insert dynamic values based on our existing field values. So in insert into statement, you cannot pass dynamic values based on your field values or fields, because in values, when you're passing the values, you need to pass the static values into the table. So this example will clear that if you're trying to pass some field values into the uh, table, then it's not going to accept. So likewise, I'm just passing into the values AMP ID plus 1, AMP name equal to AMP ID plus 1, AMP name, department ID, and the salary will be salary plus 1. So I have given a values statement at two places. It will result in error because when you pass insert into statement, after table name you have to pass your columns, which column you are passing the values, and then you have to mention that value statement. After values you have to pass your inputs. Now we are going to try this insert statement. If it's working, then we are going to execute this statement. So one bracket is missing. Now it will result in error in valid keyword near the values, because I mentioned the field names at the top, plus I have given the field values at the input side. Now we try to that incorporate some other incorrect feature while inserting the values. It will also not work because we are using aggregate function and insert statement. So first we are going to remove that values, and then we are going to execute. It will show invalid column name, AMP ID, and AMP name. As we can see, it's a table column, but in the values we are passing these fields. So we need to pass static values or input values, not the field names. So for emp ID I am passing 7. Going to change emp name as a test. And we'll append the date in query, and we will define some salary in salary column. It might be 200, 300. So you can randomize some values and you can pass random values as well if you avoid static value into the numeric column. Okay, as I passed 2000, so when I execute, it would insert the values. So one error is there, so we cannot use aggregate function. Okay, so now one row affected. You can see at the 7 emp ID, it has the test gen with the date timestamp. Now we are going to compile or alter this statement and we will run this statement. But before running this uh, alter procedure, we are also going to update the table because we are going to that execute multiple statement. Can we alter the table? No, I don't want to alter the table because I need some unique value, but not required right now. Just alter this one. If I execute the store procedure, it will insert one EMP detail and single every execution. As you can see, at every execution, it's executing the statement. First is inserting the values. Second, it's displaying the values. Now we try to update some statement based on condition. So you can watch my earlier video how to update, insert and select the values from the table. Please subscribe to my channel if you are new to this channel. So we are updating salary column with the salary plus one. I have just executed and I have just tried to execute that store procedure. If you can see, my existing salary is 2000 and now it's 2001. And every time I execute, it will update the values. So each and every execute will display a different value because on every execute I am just inserting and updating the values. So post this execution, we are going to we are going to define that variables inside the store procedure and the execution based on the variables. As you can see, Each and every execution it's updating the values. Now I've updated the value. So as I'm inserting 2000 for IT department, but as I am updating as a 300 in the multiple statement execution. So after insertion, it's updating 300 and it's displaying the latest value. Now we're going to learn how to declare variables in store procedure. So declaring the variables in store procedure, you can get the values from the specific statement and you can pass as an input to the another statement. So here I'm just passing that all four fields as a variable and assigning the values to that variable. And as I'm that writing that static values and values while inserting the table. So instead of that values, I'm just passing that variables to insert that value. So how to declare variables in SQL? It's defined as a declare, then your variable name, and then your data type. So here, based on our table structure, I'm just defining my employee ID as a big int, employee name as a varchar, department as a varchar, and salary as a big int. I can pass as a money, but right now that we have a big int field, so I'm just passing as a big int. So post declaring the variable, you have to that update, set the values. So what values that variable contain. So similarly, you have to use that set command, set variable name equal to your value. So there is no comma required in assignment. So each and every variable has to be assigned by the set keyword. So now I'm setting the variable emp id as a 8, emp name as a emp name 8, and now department as a sales. So we can assign IT because we already have sales. We already have IT. So each and every statement or each and every variable assignment you have to set by the set keyword. Now my all variables are set. So as I mentioned that in values we are passing static information. So at the base of static statement we can that assign that variables to the values. So whatever the values has been set while declaration, the same information will pass into the SQL statements and it will execute accordingly the values. Now alter the procedure. We will execute this store procedure. When I hit execute, it will insert my values to the database. So you can pass values through variables as well. Now we're going to learn how to declare parameter. Similar to variables, we are going to pass the parameters. So while passing the parameters, we can just copy our existing parameter names which we already have for declaring the variables. When you pass the variable's name, post your procedure name, it becomes your parameters. And if you pass that values in begin block, then it will declare it will become your variables. So now it's a purely dynamic query. Whatever values passed in store procedure, that value is going to be executed over here. Now procedure altered. We are going to pass values while executing the store procedure. Now I'm trying to split the window to show you that one side query and another side execution. I guess no option available in SQL to show the result window in right side. Okay then, so we can continue over here. Now we have to execute this store procedure. So how you can pass variables in store procedure? You can take the same name and assign the values into the store procedure. So we just copy that parameters, and instead of data type we are passing equal to and my value. Let remove all the variables. Now I'm going to pass my EMP ID 9, EMP name EMP name should be EMP9. Let me type EMP9. So when I say assignment of that input parameter from while doing the execution, it will pass those value to specific parameter and it will execute the statement. Now I try to execute this statement using the execute keyword. Select all and execute. If you can see, employee 9 has been executed. So we have completed our additional step as well, that is execution with parameter. Now we are going to see that how we can see procedure text plus input parameter of that store procedure. So if you use sp underscore help text, then it will display all the SQL queries which is written under the store procedure. But to view the parameter of the store procedure, you need to just type your store procedure name, select the store procedure name and press Alt and F1. At the same time, it will display you how much parameter inside in that store procedure. And let's remove this, copy paste and extract text. I'm going to select this store procedure and press the key Alt plus F1. We have four parameter: EMP ID, EMP name, department and salary. Now we're going to view the store procedure text. So based on predefined uh, commands sp underscore help test and your procedure name, it's showing the procedure text. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.